Are you a YouTuber or a graphic designer who struggles to make thumbnails and all you can come up with is something like this, but you want something like this? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be finally showing you guys exactly what I do in order to make all my thumbnails, all my overlays, all stuff. At least mainly thumbnails for today's video and all stuff. And then maybe in the future, I can make an updated video to this and kind of go more in depth in some of the other stuff. And maybe as I evolve and all stuff, maybe I can update this tutorial just in general in the future. So yeah, hopefully this video helps you out in terms of how you could potentially make thumbnails and all stuff. Obviously, I kind of create more so Dragon Ball Legend style content, and also more so Dragon Ball related stuff, so obviously my thumbnails are going to be kind of catered towards that. So not my style might not work for every single one of you guys, but at least you can maybe take some ideas and kind of adaptate them in your own way, and just in general, hopefully they can help you out in some manner. And also I will be putting this out there as well. I am actually opening up commissions for graphic designs and all stuff over on my Twitter and my Discord as well, so if you're interested in maybe commissioning me to help you make thumbnails, overlays, feel free to help people and all stuff. You know, drop a DM over on Twitter or Discord and stuff, and maybe we can get something sorted and all stuff. Links in the description will be available for all of that, and you can take a more in-depth look in some of my details and all stuff over in those platforms and all that stuff. So there's that, just putting it out there. But enough wasting time, let us finally hop in to show you guys exactly what I do to make all of my thumbnails.
I am the legendary Super Saiyan Son Goku!
Alright, we are finally here. Today is the day where I'm going to be showing you guys exactly what I do whenever I make all my thumbnails and all stuff, because yes, in case if you don't know, I do happen to make every single one of my thumbnails on this channel, even every single overlay I've ever used throughout my time on YouTube, all my channel banners, my profile picture and all this stuff, even my intro and outros. As of right now, though, I will say my current intro is the only thing that I haven't made myself. It was made by Astro over on Twitter, AstroGFX, so shout out to them. Massive, huge thanks for them making that intro, because that intro is so godly even to this day. But outside of that, I pretty much made everything else myself, so might as well just show you guys exactly what I do personally whenever I make my thumbnails and all stuff. Obviously, my thumbnails are Dragon Ball Legends related and all stuff, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm just going to be kind of taking you through what I would normally do if I were to make just a typical like showcase thumbnail and all stuff. So for today's example, we're going to be using the boy free to play Super Saiyan Goku right here, which happens to also be the character that I have themed my intro based on, or my intro is based on them, you know what I mean. Anyways, so there's that's gonna be taking him and just putting him over here. Now real quick before I actually do that, the program I do use is called Paint.net. It's a free program that you can use on PC and all stuff. Links will be in the description for that if you want to download it and want to try it out yourself. Obviously there's a lot of other programs you can definitely use for sure. You can use Photoshop if you have that. That'll probably be the better program, of course, for sure. But for me personally, as someone who doesn't really want to be bothered to pay for that and all stuff, since that is something you do have to pay for, a nice little free program that you can feel free to use, Paint.net and all stuff. So that's what I've been using for years and it works just fine for me. So there's that. Now in terms of when I make my thumbnails, before I even get to doing the actual thumbnail and all stuff, I like to have a little layout kind of ready for them. So obviously, as you can see, have the, you know, the nice little red 7 stars and all stuff on the thumbnail, as you can see right here. And I also do have this little like fade kind of like vignette effect right behind it, just to like that way it makes the stars kind of pop out a bit more, because without it you can still see them obviously, but I don't know, it just makes them pop out more. And that's kind of what you want with a YouTube thumbnail. You want a very clickable, very noticeable popping out thumbnail and all this stuff, because that's pretty much just the YouTube meta essentially with thumbnails. I don't know, that's just the best way to kind of go with that. So that's that pretty much. So that's why I do have that. And then I also do have this right here, more so as a watermark for my thumbnail, so that way people don't, you know, steal them and all stuff. And also, you know, it kind of adds to the thumbnail at some point, but that's the main reason why I have them, just so that way it also distinguishes my thumbnails from other people and all stuff. You just see this little green thing in the top and you know it's an elusive corner thumbnail. You know, you gotta check out the video and all stuff, which by the way, leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. But with that being said, so actually finally paste in the boy Goku's artwork and let's get to work right here. So obviously, you know, put in the artwork first and all stuff, you know, change the size around. Let's make him a little bit bigger, might as well. I think around here should be fine enough for as it is, so we can put the boy right there, the GOAT himself, Goku. Now looking at the actual character artwork in the thumbnail and all this stuff, now the next thing I tend to do is I tend to make multiple layers above and below him, just so that way I can have plenty of space to like layer in effects and all stuff, all the stuff I want to use and all that. And also I've been kind of hiding this entire time, but I do tend to put just a basic black background, at least just at the start of making my thumbnails. Sometimes with the thumbnails, the finished product, I just keep the black background because it has like a nice clean aesthetic to it and all that. I don't need to add in any extra backgrounds. And then sometimes there are other instances where I do tend to use some actual backgrounds and all that stuff. For the most part, if I do add in backgrounds, I make them a bit more subtle and all that stuff. But regardless, for now we're gonna have the black background, but I do have multiple layers between the Goku and all stuff, all with the screen filter applied. The blend mode, obviously, you can change the blend mode right here to all these different things. But for me specifically, I tend to put the screen with the screen filter. Let's say I take this effect right here, for instance, and I paste it above Goku. You can kind of see, it's like somewhat, I guess, translucent to an extent. You can kind of see, like, if I zoom into his hair, you can still see a little bit of his hair and all stuff through it and all that. The light, depending like where the lighting's at its strongest, it's the most translucent and all that, as you can see right here. Because if I were to just change the layer property to normal, and if I were to paste it back in, you see it's a very different thing. The layer is just completely layers itself over Goku and all stuff, and even like right here where it was a bit translucent, it's completely solid. So for me personally, I kind of like the translucent-ish effect and all stuff, so that way you can kind of still see the character behind it and all that somewhat to an extent. And I don't know, I just like the aesthetic of it, so that's why I tend to use that blend mode right there specifically for that. So now what I tend to do is, obviously, I'm going to disable the background just for now, so that way you can actually see this a bit more easily. But as you can see with Goku, there is a bit of a shadow around them, so I tend to actually delete that, just so that way when I add like outline glow and all that, it makes it pop out more, and that way it's not hidden under the shadows. So just going to select around them and just delete it, simple as that. And I'm actually going to duplicate this layer of Goku multiple times, at least just to have like 5 layers of him just in case and all that. And then I'm going to take the top layer, going to change the blend mode to overlay, and as you can see, you're going to see a massive difference. Kind of overlays this layer on top of it and all stuff, and it kind of changes the saturation, the contrast a bit more and all stuff. So that's a simple way I tend to do that. And we're also going to change the bottom 2 layers to the screen blending mode, something you'll see in a little bit, so we'll get to work on that right now. So now let's bring back the background so that way you get to see this part a bit more clearly. And now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to effects, object, and drop shadow, and then as you can see, we get a nice little outline glow for the boy Goku. So now at this point, we're going to change the color. Obviously, it is a Super Saiyan Goku, so let's go for like a Super Saiyan aesthetic and all stuff. Obviously, when you're making your thumbnails, you don't have to go for that. If you want to make, I don't know, the outline green or whatever, I don't know, feel free to do that. But for me personally, I kind of like to match with whatever character and all stuff, the whole aesthetic and all that. So gonna go with an orange glow over here, and also might as well just do a bit of an inner glow just to make the glow in general feel more, make it pop out more and all stuff. So we're gonna select around Goku, then go on the above layer, then paint bucket it with black. Obviously you can't see it because, you know, the background's black and all that. And we're going to be doing repeat drop shadow right here, and then as you can see, we have a nice little inner glow on Goku right there. And then I'm just going to select the actual black outline that I put around, so that way now if I deselect this, you see there's no black background whatsoever and all stuff. So there is that. And now we're going to be going to this layer. We're going to be doing yet again another drop shadow effect, but this time we're going to make it a lot more smaller. We're going to be going to 5 and then 10 right here, and then we're going to go straight to yellow. So as you can see, we have a nice little inner yellow bright outline effect, I guess to call it. So there we go. So now we have a nice little outer glow effect on Goku, who's already looking decent enough. Obviously, we preferably want to add a bit more stuff to it, so that's what we're going to be doing right now. So now in terms of effects, obviously I have a couple different effects kind of lined up. And by the way, in case if you all are wondering where do I actually get these effects from, these are actual in-game card art assets from Legends, which you can very easily find over on DBZ Space Legends. Links will be in the description for this website. It's just a nice general website for just anything Legends related. It's basically almost like an official website for Legends, but it isn't. It just has obviously all the units, all their details and all stuff, and obviously specific for assets. If you were to go to someone like Future Gohan, for instance, you go right here and it will take you to just the whole array of their card art assets. As you can see here, we got lightning effects, we got natural character renders and all stuff you can get access to for free here and all that, and just all the different effects and all that. So you can just feel free to play around with that yourselves and all stuff. So again, links will be in the description for this website. So that's pretty much where I got all these effects from. So kind of just lined up a couple of them that I think could be a good fit for this thumbnail. So I'm going to take this one for instance and just kind of mess around with this. We're going to paste it right here behind Goku and all stuff. We're just going to kind of mess around with it and all stuff. I think, I don't know, maybe putting it, I think around there could be actually decent enough, so we can put it right there. And then we're going to add a little bit of a blur to it since it is in the background and all stuff. I don't want it to be as noticeable as Goku, because obviously the main focus of the thumbnail is Goku, so we want to make Goku the most noticeable thing of the thumbnail and all stuff to make him pop out a bit more. So this is in the background. I'm gonna blur it just a little bit, and then we're going to actually duplicate the layer. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a little bit of a glow effect, but we're not going to be using the actual drop shadow effects. I want the glow to actually kind of extend out a bit more than what the drop shadow effect would do. So we're going to be now taking this, going to be adjusting the hue and saturation and all stuff. We're going to up the saturation just a little bit, and then we're also going to be adjusting the hue a little bit to more of a orange color, I guess. And now we have that, so you can see a bit of a difference right there. And then now we're going to be blurring it yet again, but this time we're going to make the blur radius way higher. So as you can see, you see a very big difference. We're going to be going to, I think 130 could be a decent notch, I guess we could bring it up to. And then now at this point, we're going to be going over here to effects again, and then I think photo, yep, and then we're going to be doing a glow effect. As you can see, it just makes a glow and all stuff. We don't need to change any of these settings. I just do it right there. And then at this point, I just go to hue and saturation again. And we'll bring this to -10 right there. So that way it's still a little bit orange, but it's also a bit more yellow, I guess. So now if we go from afar, have a nice little like aura type effect in the background and all stuff. I definitely think it does look pretty damn nice for sure. So we have something going. Honestly, just with this alone, again, I like to say this a lot of times. Sometimes simplicity is key. A lot of times you don't really want to overlay way too many things. You could overlay like a ton of this around, just add a ton of lightning effects and all that, and just make it go crazy like this, and then let me add more over here. Oh, let's go, man. He looks so sick. Cool. That actually doesn't look too bad, but I feel like sometimes going with a more simplistic route can definitely be a bit better, just so that way it's not way too much to handle on the eyes and all that. So I don't know, I just think a more cleaner aesthetic will be fine, but we're gonna add a little bit more, of course. But I think this already is a nice little start to the thumbnail and all stuff. So now we're gonna add some effects on the top layers and all stuff. So I'm gonna take this one for instance, just kind of mess around with it a little bit. We're gonna paste it right here, and then we're just gonna mess around with it just to add like a bit of like an overlay, like aura type effect over him and all stuff, because all these being engulfed in his Super Saiyan aura and all stuff. So maybe going with an effect like this could be okay. I think maybe like this could be okay. Now obviously there is this little annoying strip of aura, I guess, in the middle, so what we can very easily just do, we just take the eraser tool and just frickin' just erase it out of existence. So goodbye, get obliterated, and then now blur it a little bit, so that way again Goku's still kind of the focus. He still noticed it, of course, but Goku again is the main focus of the thumbnail. Why do I have to keep repeating it? I don't know why. Anyways, now let's kind of do a little bit of a coloring effect adjustment type thing to make it pop a little bit more. Honestly, that is actually okay. Let me just notch down the brightness, or not the brightness, saturation a little bit. That's actually okay, to be honest. And now with this time, we're actually gonna be using the drop shadow effect right here. Now as you can see, just a massive difference. We're gonna be making the radius a lot bigger to 1024 yet again. We're gonna be changing the color around, just kind of messing around to a point where I think it's good enough. I think honestly, you know what I will do actually, I will actually reverse the color. I think what I'll do is I'll just bump up the saturation, but not changing. I'll change the color just a slight bit, but just to 5. I don't want it too much orange. So we're gonna be going back here and all that. I gotta do this again. But then now we can make the outer glow a bit more orange, I guess. And yeah, that's actually like a decent like look, honestly. So we can just keep it there, and now we have a nice little effect and all stuff. It's not too much, but it's also not too little, I guess, if you get what I mean. So I think honestly this is fine enough. I'm gonna just kind of add a little bit extra things and all stuff, so we're already off to a very, very good start for sure. So now the next thing I typically tend to add for characters and all stuff, as you can see, Goku's eyes unfortunately for some reason kind of seem a bit lifeless, I guess. They kind of seem like a bit more of a darker tone color. So what we're gonna be doing, it's a typical thing I tend to do with characters and all stuff, I tend to add a little bit of eye glow just to make their eyes kind of pop out more, so that way you get to look at the character and just admire their amazing, beautiful eyes and all stuff for absolutely no reason, just because I don't know, it's a bit more engaging and it looks cooler and all that. So you're gonna be taking this and kind of just adjusting it to kind of fit in the proportions, I guess, of his eyes real quick. All right, and there we go. So now obviously we have the nice little orb effect, you know, glow thing kind of fit in the eyes, but also we're not done. Honestly, over there, like, you know, from afar it doesn't look too bad, but we can definitely make it look a lot cleaner for sure. So what I'm actually gonna be doing is I'm going to blur it yet again, but this time we're gonna make the blur radius a bit bigger, so I'm gonna bump it up to 10. Is typically what I tend to do. And then also, just for this instance, I'm actually going to be going to color balance, and I'm going to be taking all the way down to the light blue section just to make the color nice and even for the eyes, especially since even before adding the glow, if we take a look at his eyes again, it's a very nice, just evenly distributed color and all stuff. There's no real color difference and all stuff around his eyes, so I think having a more static color for the glow will definitely work a lot better. So now we have a nice little like light blue glow, but maybe make it look a little bit better. So if we go to hue saturation yet again, let's just bump up the saturation completely, and let's just change the color of the eyes all the way down. We'll go to 30, might as well. And then now we're gonna be doing, to make them pop out a little bit more, so we're gonna be doing another glow effect right here. Don't change any of these settings. And now let's open it up again, and then we're gonna be not bumping up the saturation anymore, but then we're gonna change the color to a slightly bit more of a darker blue. I think honestly around there is fine enough. So now you can see his eyes have a nice bit of a glow to them. They seem more full of life, I guess that's the way to say it. So now it's a bit more engaging and it pops out a bit more. Again, that's what we're trying to go for a very nice, aesthetically pleasing, but something that still kind of pops out quite well enough and all stuff, so that way it would want to make you click the thumbnail to then watch the video and all this stuff. So that's pretty much it, but it's looking nice so far. So now we just need to add a couple finishing touches really, and at that point we're pretty much set, to be honest. So at this point, I think what I'm going to do is I would add like a little bit of lightning effects and all stuff. That's kind of when I had this pulled up, but I kind of want to keep it a bit true to the source where it's just normal Super Saiyan. You can add lightning if you want, but I don't really want to. So I'm actually just gonna add some extra particle effects. I think that should be kind of fine enough. So let's just add this right here and all that. Typically what I do for particle effects, kind of just bring them out. I think that should be fine enough and all stuff. I don't really want to obscure the face too much with them. Now let's just blur them a little bit. These I don't blur as much as just normal effects. I only bring them down to 3 since obviously the particles are a lot more smaller. I still want them to be noticeable enough and all that. So I think 3 is fine. We're also going to be adjusting the color. So we're going to be going to color balance actually this time around. Since obviously the aura and all stuff is kind of a nice orangish yellowish color, let's just go all the way red and then yellow, and we kind of get a nice little mix of both colors and all stuff. So I think honestly that is fine enough. Let's just do it again. Might as well just kind of distribute the colors a bit better. And then now we're gonna be doing yet again freaking drop shadow effect. You'll love to see. We get a nice little outer glow. I don't want it to be too heavy though. I think bring it down, widening radius to 7, and then let's bump this down to 15. Let's just get a nice little like orangish reddish color. I think honestly around there is fine enough. So now if we kind of zoom in from far and all that, you see the nice little particles and all stuff kind of like around him. And heck, even if I want to mess around with it a little bit, I can maybe even change the brightness and the contrast just a tiny bit just to make him pop out a little bit more, but also not like too heavy. I don't know. I could do some stuff like this, mess around with it. Honestly, I think around there is fine. So if you see the difference, you can definitely see a bit of a difference. But honestly, I kind of like this more because they're still noticeable. You know, you kind of still see the glow, but it's not like as like noticeable as this and all. I don't know. Just to me, for some reason, this looks a bit more aesthetically pleasing. So I'm going to go with this nice little aesthetic right here. And for the most part, you could also leave the thumbnail just as it is. It could be just fine, but I'm going to add some extra finishing touches that I tend to add to my thumbnails and all this stuff, especially as of late. I kind of found a nice little trick that I've been doing lately. So the most recent thing I kind of found out lately, it's a nice little thing. Again, you don't have to do it, but this is something I tend to do, is I go to effects yet again. I go to blurs, but this time instead of going to Gaussian blur, we go to radial blur. And then, as you can see, it kind of blurs out the Goku a bit, but we can also adjust it. And pretty much I want to kind of put the focus on the face. Like, I don't want to blur up the face because, again, the face is kind of like the main center point of the character and all stuff. So we're going to kind of mess around with it until the face is pretty much good to go and it's not really blurred and all that. But as you can see, pretty much with the radius blur, if I were to bump this up, you can kind of see it kind of does like a circular blur type thing. So I don't really mess around with this though. I just keep it at the default number. But as you can see, once I finish with this, I think right here is fine. As you can see, if I do a before and after comparison, you can kind of see this, and then you see like, I don't know, a slight difference. I don't know, it's like a slight blur effect to it around like his face and all stuff. I think it kind of makes him fit a bit more in the thumbnail a little bit. I don't know, to me personally, it's definitely something you don't really need to do at all, but it's a nice little aesthetic and all stuff, and definitely for certain thumbnails and all that, it'll definitely help it, I don't know, look a bit more cleaner, and like, it adds a nice little aesthetic to it, I guess. So from afar, definitely looks pretty damn nice for sure, as you can see. So yeah, at this point, honestly, we could just leave it like this, but I also do want to kind of experiment with something a little bit. I do want to see if we can actually add a slight background. Now obviously this Goku is from the Namek saga and also, so I feel like it'd be very fitting to actually have a Namek themed background. So I'm gonna be taking this background from the LF Namek Goku with this post-transformed artwork, and I'm gonna be putting it in the background. Obviously no extra effects and all stuff. Let me actually just delete this layer. Let me actually just delete these other layers since I'm not really using them as of right now. There's really no need. So now I'm gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna put it right above the black background and all that, and we're gonna paste it in. As you can see a very big difference. Even like some of the effects are more translucent and all stuff because obviously there's a much more brighter background, but we're gonna be changing that slightly. Honestly, from here doesn't look too bad, but definitely it can look a bit better. So I'm gonna be upping the saturation just a little bit, and then what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be heavily playing around with the brightness and contrast. Actually, before I do that, let me actually blur it again because it's in the background. We don't want as much focus on the background compared to the Goku, so let's actually just blur it all the way, and that 5 is fine enough. So, and then now let's go to brightness and contrast, and let's just kind of mess around with this a decent bit and all stuff. Still want it to be noticeable, but also don't want it to be like way too distracting, I feel like. So I feel like kind of going a bit lower on the brightness side of things and then going kind of high on the contrast, but also not too much. I feel like this is okay. I feel like negative 55 to brightness and 60 to contrast is fine. So as you can see, a major difference in the, you know, the background and all stuff. So now at this point, you notice the background, obviously if we were to zoom out and all stuff, obviously you know, the black background definitely works 100% with this thumbnail, but I don't know, the background kind of makes it adds like that slight effect to it that it makes it pop out just a little bit more, at least to me personally. Again, you definitely don't need to add the background. Like, even without the background, it looks honestly completely fine and all that. It looks very clean and it still pops out decently well, but I don't know, just to me personally, wanted to add a slight background. I think it's definitely a nice little touch to it. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Now we save it, because obviously definitely save your progress as a artist in general. Saving your progress constantly, just please do it, because if you lose any progress after spending a long time working on something, especially hours, it hurts so bad to actually lose out on something that you've worked so hard toward just because of the fact that you didn't save it. So there's that. So this is pretty much a thumbnail. So again, this is pretty much what I tend to do for all my thumbnails. Obviously, sometimes I maybe try out different things and all stuff, and obviously for different types of videos and different types of thumbnails, I tend to try different styles and all that. But for the most part, this is what I tend to do for my thumbnails. Even my overlays, I kind of follow a similar structure for this, my channel banners and all stuff. So this is pretty much all I really need to show in this video and all stuff. Hopefully this actually does help you guys out in some way and all stuff. And again, if you guys are still kind of struggling a bit and all stuff, and you still want someone else to kind of preferably help you, I'm available to help you out and all stuff. Again, links will be in the description for my graphic designing Twitter account and all stuff, and also my Discord server. You can feel free to just hit me up, and at that point, feel free to commission me and I can help you out, sort you out with thumbnails, overlays, channel banners, Twitter banners, all that stuff and all that. And yeah, so at least you could kind of help your boy out a little bit, and also I help you out. It's a nice little even exchange thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and all stuff. Definitely look down below if you helped you and if you enjoyed it, and also sub to the channel. We're on the road to 2,000 subs right now, so it'd be very much appreciated if you haven't already to sub the channel. I mean a lot to me. But with that being said though, hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully it helped you, and that being said, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out. Have a great one, y'all.